Hi everyone, welcome to JavaScript coding challenge. In today's video, you have to find the below code output and you have 4 options to select from. The question is, you have a const interval which is calling the setInterval method. Within the setInterval method, you are passing the function cb and you are providing the time delay as 0 millisecond and you are having 2 arguments, first and second, and then you are trying to print the type of interval that's being returned by the setInterval method. And within the function cb, which is called in the setInterval, you are having 2 arguments a and b, and within the function what you are trying to do, you are trying to print a and b, and then you are calling the clear interval method wherein you are passing the interval which is being returned by the setInterval method, and finally you are trying to print again the type of interval, okay, that is being returned by the setInterval method. And the options are, the first option is number and number, second option is number, first and second, third option is number, first, second and undefined, and the fourth option is range error, max call stack exceeded. So please try from your end and see what is the output you are getting. So let's try from our end and see what is the output we are getting. So before I get start with the answer, so first we have to understand what is a setInterval and what is a clear interval doing. So setInterval, it's a global method, okay. What it does is it repeatedly calls a function or executes a piece of code with a fixed time delay between each call, okay. So it repeatedly executes a piece of code or a function, it calls a function repeatedly, and we with a fixed time delay, we can specify the time delay after which this particular function needs to be called or that particular piece of code needs to be executed, okay, which will be a repeated action. And the syntax is setInterval, which is expecting a function to be passed in, and the rest are like optional arguments, okay, optional parameters. So delay, if you do not specify delay, that will be defaulted to 0 millisecond, so or 0 seconds you can say, and if you have the particular function is having expecting arguments, so that also you can provide, which is an optional value within the setInterval method. And what is clear interval doing? So this particular function will be called repeatedly, right? So at any point of time we want this particular function to be, that particular call need to be cancelled. So in that case we can use the clear interval. So it clears the setInterval, okay, and how it does is it identifies that particular setInterval using the unique interval ID. So how you get the unique interval ID? The setInterval method, it returns a non-zero numeric value, and that numeric value will be unique and which will be used by the clear interval to cancel that particular setInterval, okay, and which that cancellation also leads to that particular function call or the piece of code will not be executed henceforth, okay. So let's see the question, okay, what we are having this particular question. So we have a const interval which is actually called by the setInterval, okay, it is calling the setInterval method. So you can see here the return type of setInterval will be a non-zero numeric unique value, okay, and which will be later on used by the clear interval to cancel that particular setInterval, okay. So now let me actually comment this particular consoles, okay, whatever is there within the function as well as this particular console, I am just commenting out, and we are just having this particular console.log type of interval. So by now you might be having an idea about what the answer would be. So it is actually, let me refresh that, okay, so the answer is number, okay, and now this is particular number, okay, this the type of interval is number. Now within the function you are having 2 consoles, so let me actually uncomment that. So I have a console.log of a and console.log of b, and a will be corresponding to first and b will be corresponding to second. So now if I actually refresh it, you can see that this is getting repeatedly called, okay, the function is getting repeatedly called after every 0 seconds, okay. So every second 0 second it is actually this particular function is getting called, but I don't want that to happen, okay, I don't want this particular function call to be executed in a recursive way. So if I actually does not stop that, then what will happen is we will be getting a max call stack exceeded, okay, that particular error we will be getting, and so I do not want that to happen. I just want to cancel this particular function call. So I am using the clear interval method. within that clear interval method, what I am trying to do, I am actually providing the ID, unique ID that is being returned by the set interval. So this makes sure that this function will not be called again. So now if I actually refresh this page, now you can see that it is just number first and second. So the function will be called one time. After that, the clear interval will be executed. After that, this function will not be called again. Okay. So this is what a clear interval does. So now number first and second. Now if I uncomment this particular piece of code, now what will happen is, now you can see that this piece of code will be executed synchronously, but whatever is available in the set interval, that will be moved into the macro task, and from the macro task it will be in the callback queue. Okay, macro task or the callback queue, it will be in the callback queue. So once the call stack is empty, then only this particular piece of code will be executed. So now if you see the order, okay, now if you see the order, it will be number first and second. So why it is? Because this particular piece, fourth line of piece of code is executed. Okay, now this function will not be executed. Okay, this will be moved into the macro task queue, and now we have this particular piece of code, this will be executed. After that, we will be executing this particular function. Okay, now after this particular thing, the call stack will be empty, and then this particular set interval will be called. When we are actually calling this set interval, this function will be executed, and it will be executed only one time. After that, the clear interval is called, and hence this function will not be executed repeatedly, and hence the answer for our question would be option B, number first and second. So I hope you got an idea about set interval and clear interval. Just a recap: set interval is a global method which is repeatedly calls a function or executes a code with a fixed time delay, and clear interval is used to cancel that particular set interval, which is using the unique interval ID. So that's it for today's video. Thanks a lot for watching.